Our story begins in a time of profound darkness, a time when hope was fading, and silence had replaced joy. The land of Egypt, once a place of refuge, had become a prison. The Israelites, once welcomed, were now enslaved. For generations, they labored under the burning sun, their hands shaping bricks, their backs bent under impossible burdens, and their cries rose. But it seemed no one answered. 400 years, 4 centuries of suffering. Children were born into chains and grew old, never knowing freedom. They built monuments, not for themselves, but for kings who did not know their names. Every sunrise brought labor, every sunset, exhaustion, and still, Egypt demanded more. The system was merciless. The system was absolute, and at the top of it all stood a king, a man feared by nations and obeyed without question, Pharaoh. But even kings can be afraid. Pharaoh watched the Hebrews grow, stronger, more numerous, and fear entered his heart. What if they rise? What if they turn against us? Fear became paranoia. Paranoia became order, and that order became death. Every Hebrew boy, every newborn son, was to be taken and thrown into the Nile. No mercy, no exceptions, just silence. Where life should have been, the river, once a source of life, became a grave. And across Egypt, mothers wept. But in the middle of this darkness, one woman made a choice, not of fear, but of defiance. Her name was Jochebed. She gave birth to a son, a child born into danger, marked for death before his first breath. But when she looked at him, she did not see fear. She saw purpose. For 3 months, she hid him. Every sound, a risk, every cry, a threat. She learned the rhythm of silence, the language of survival, holding him close, listening, always listening, for footsteps, for voices, for danger, because one mistake would cost everything. But time does not stop, and the child grew. His cries became louder, harder to hide, impossible to silence. And the day came when love had to let go. Jochebed made a decision no mother should ever have to make. If she kept him, he would die. But if she released him, there was a chance. With careful hands, she wove a basket from reeds, coating it with pitch, sealing every gap, preparing it not just as a container, but as an ark, a vessel of hope. And then, with tears she could not hold back, she placed her son inside. The Nile flowed, quiet, powerful, unchanging, and on its surface, a small basket carried something far greater than it appeared. A child, a future, a destiny. Jochebed released the basket into the unknown, not knowing where it would go, not knowing who would find him, only knowing that she had done everything she could. From a distance, his sister watched every movement of the water, every shift in direction, her heart racing with every second that passed, because now, the river would decide. Not far away, another story was unfolding. The daughter of Pharaoh walked toward the river, surrounded by attendants, wrapped in royalty, unaware that destiny was waiting in the water. Then, she saw it, a basket among the reeds. Curiosity turned to concern. She opened it, and inside, a crying child, a Hebrew child. She knew the decree, she knew the law. This child was supposed to die, but something changed. In that moment, not fear, not duty, compassion, she chose mercy over obedience. And with that single decision, history shifted. The child was taken, not to death, but to the palace. The very house that ordered his destruction would now become his home. He was given protection, provision, identity, and a name, Moses, drawn out of the water, a name that carried a story, even before he could understand it. Outside the palace, his people suffered. Inside the palace, he lived as royalty. 2 worlds, 1 identity, 1 destiny, still unfolding. A child, sentenced to death, saved by faith, carried by water, chosen by mercy. But this was only the beginning, because the boy who survived the river would one day stand before a king, and everything would change.